Welcome to the China Influencer Marketing Podcast. Each week, we speak with top influencers, marketers, and brands who share their experiences, strategies, and tactics for influencer marketing in China. Here's your host, Lauren Hallanan.
Hi, everyone. In this episode of the China Influencer Marketing Podcast, I had a lot of fun chatting with influencer Tyler Christler. Over the past couple of years, Tyler has grown significant followings on a number of Chinese social media apps, including Kuaishou, Meipai, Weibo, WeChat, and podcasting app Ximalaya FM. During our call, he shares his opinions on each of these apps and their pros and cons. We also go off on a couple of tangents and discuss things like fake followers, brands' inflated expectations, Weibo's declining organic reach, viewers' ever-shortening attention spans, and how, unfortunately, many influencers and brands in China seem to be after fast money and not thinking long-term. I really enjoyed chatting with Tyler, and I think you guys will find our conversation interesting. Before we start, I just want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsor, Parkloo. Parkloo is China's premier influencer marketing platform. Learn more at parkloo.com. And now, on to our interview with Tyler. Hi, Tyler. Welcome to the China Influencer Marketing Podcast. I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you, Lauren. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so I think we're going to start off, the way that I start a lot of the podcasts with influencers is just wanting to learn about your background story, because I actually don't know your story either, even though we've talked a lot, besides the podcast, outside of the podcast. I've never really asked you about your background story and, how did you become interested in Chinese social media and how did you become an influencer?
Sure. Kind of by accident. I am from Portland, Oregon, and I came here almost 10 years ago in 2008. And I came over initially, like a lot of foreigners do, as an English teacher, and then was able to work my way up and got a lot into recruiting. And now I am in the business. I started a small company helping students go to America, so study abroad. And about 3 years ago, I have a friend here in Douyin who is into film and entertainment. He has a small company that makes films and advertisements. And he told me, he's like, "Ty, man, you should really use your Chinese and local dialect, and let's make some funny videos together." In Chinese, we call them 段子, right? Like these small kind of funny skits that usually are really, really short. At first, they were within 17 seconds long. And the first one I made, it was just me filming myself with my phone. And it kind of blew up on a platform here in China that's popular called Kuaishou, which actually I don't think is Snapchat. But I guess it's on its own, Kuaishou. And then from there,
Kuaishou has been around that long? I've only really heard of it the past 2 years or two.
Yeah, so
wow.
Now it's huge. So Kuaishou is huge now because they advertise on all these very big Hallanan 卫视 and Zhejiang 卫视, all these big Douyin 节目, reality shows. But it actually was big at that time. I guess it was about 3 years ago. And it was awesome because I was one of the first foreigners on that platform, I think. And my friend just recommended it to me. I had no idea what it was either. And I got going on that. That's how it started. It was very random. And then I just kept going. And every day I'd send funny stuff or stuff about my life. Very simple. That's how it started, just on accident, I guess.
Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't realize that you had started on Kuaishou. Like I said, I think especially in the past year, they've kind of blown up and they've been in like in Western media a lot, and I think now people kind of recognize the name. But I mean, I had no idea that they had been around for that long. So I think you kind of lucked out with that.
I did. It's a really interesting story. So I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here. I'm sorry, but like Kuaishou as a platform to me, I think is very, very odd. I actually have never worked with anybody on the back end of the company. Nobody within the company has ever. I have no one-to-one contact with anybody there, which is unfortunate. But at the beginning, as I was saying, I would always be on this, like I would always trend on their platform. In Chinese, they call it rumor. And I quickly, I don't know, within 6 months, roughly, I built that up to 600,000 followers was at the peak of it. And I was sending content out. That's my thing. Is like I was really good about sending out content. I had a job where I was in the position to kind of create content. I didn't have a kid at the time, so I had more free time, and I built that up to about 600,000 followers. And then I started my small company about 2.5 years ago, and I stopped sending content as much. I cut down from like every day to maybe once a week. And that was a bad idea, because then I stopped trending almost since that time. In the last 2 years, I've only trended on that platform a handful of times, which is really bizarre. I have no idea why. I've sent out some amazing stuff and it hasn't gone anywhere on that, or I've sent out some, average stuff and it kind of popped up. But the following, my numbers on that platform have actually dropped since that time. So it was at the peak, it was over 600,000 followers. Now it's around 500,000 followers. So like every time I send out a video, it drops by 1,000 followers. I have no idea.
That's
Maybe
crazy.
the initial 600 were fake. Like, I don't think so though, because I was like always I was always trending. Even if there was a time where if you downloaded the app on your phone, there was like a screenshot of the homepage of Kuaishou, and I was one of the people on that homepage. So like if you went to download Kuaishou, the app, you'd see my face.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
I mean, I've heard that as far as Chinese social media platforms go, that Kuaishou is actually more organic than a lot of the platforms, that it really depends on like likes and views. And if it like, it's like, I feel like it's like before when you were doing it, it was probably just like this compounding effect that you were just getting so many views like day in and day out that you were just getting like somehow according to their algorithm you were just getting ranked really well. And now that you're not like as consistent, I guess it's just like having the opposite effect.
Yeah, probably.
But
That makes a lot of sense.
I kind of want to go back to something you said, because it makes sense to me, but maybe not to people outside of China, or people who, people who don't, try to grow a following on Chinese social media. So you said that it was kind of a bummer that you don't know anyone who works at the app, that you don't have an official connection. And I think for somebody at in the US who is a Twitter influencer or Instagram influencer or something like that, that's not like a big deal. Like, I don't think most of them know people that work at these app companies. So could you explain why in China it's important to know people who work at these apps?
Right. So my background with that, I've also been unlucky on a couple platforms. I think I got started late on several platforms, and I regret getting started just on Kuaishou. Like, that was awesome, and I got a big following there, and I'm very thankful for that. That was a blessing. But I did not start my Weibo, which is like the YouTube of China or the Facebook of China, until well after that, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And that has been really hard to get going without putting any money into it, or knowing anybody, or knowing any other big influencers that will share my content, stuff like that. For knowing people, getting back to that, I have known one platform on the back end. I actually reached out to them on Weibo. It's is it okay to say the name of the platform?
Yeah, of
Should I
course.
call them out like that? Okay. So it's Ximalaya, which is in English, the Himalayas. It's the biggest, I think it's number one podcast channel in China. And it's really cool. It's a very cool podcast platform, but it's really hard to go anywhere there unless you get promoted. Like, you won't be seen. So I sent a couple audios out, I think, and before I reached out to them, or maybe I reached out to them right away, and I said, hey, an American has a bit of a following here in China. Would you guys be willing to help promote me to your homepage? That kind of thing. And this guy on Weibo connected me to somebody within the company in Beijing or Shanghai. And it's just like somebody that works there, nobody special. They've since left there. But at that time, like, they said, yeah, why don't you make 10 lessons? I was going to be teaching English and travel English, and make 10 lessons, kind of prove yourself, and then we'll talk about promoting you. And so I made my 10 lessons. Then I had to kind of fight for it. I was like, yeah, I'm done here. Like, this is really good content. Promote me. And it kind of went on for a couple more weeks. And then finally somebody reached out and they're like, yeah, let's do this. And no money involved. I didn't pay them. They didn't pay me. But they decided to promote my content. And then I was able to get that following up and up and up. And that was awesome. But again, I had requirements on sending out consistent content. The reason why they were able to promote me is because they don't have very many foreigners creating original content on their platform and in the English teaching section. So I definitely provided value for them. And yeah, so that one. And then my guy left and stopped being promoted. And that company goes through, I feel like that company is not very organic, unfortunately. But I did get a following of nearly 100,000 followers on there. And so that's the only one that I have somebody at, though, which sucks. But yeah, so that's kind of knowing people. The other ones have been totally organic, haven't paid for anything. I was just reading an article this morning that somebody sent in one of the groups that you and I know each other in. And it was about people buying followers or buying likes, buying comments. And I'm proud to say I have not touched that at all in any platform I've been on. So
it's so tempting though, isn't it?
It is. I got close. I got close one time with, what was it? I've been close on one platform just a few months ago. I was like, gosh, should I do this? And I chose not to. I can't remember what platform it was, but it is tempting. Yes.
Yeah. It's just like it's just so common, and it almost seems like I don't know. It's got its pros and cons, you know, and it feels nice to say, oh, I've never done it, but at the same time, it's like there are people who are doing it in a way that kind of tricks the system, and they're able to earn a lot of money from it and stuff, and you're like, why are my morals and values getting in the way? Like,
yeah, I don't know. It definitely benefits them, right? Like, because all of us will go out and we will look at KOLs out there and say, oh my gosh, this guy has 1 million followers. I should follow him. Like, this must be interesting, or at least look at it. And then you're like, you see one video that's really cool, and you're like, oh yeah, follow. I mean, that's kind of one of those things. You see a big gun out there and you're like, wow, I got to follow this guy. And I mean, that's part of the tricking the system, I think, that you're saying. I don't know. And tricking companies to find you and, pay you money to help, with branding and stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and yeah, this is all a rant, but I think it's a great rant. But I think that because there's a lot of companies that have really high expectations for influencers, and in China, especially because they think like, oh, China's huge, and look at all these people with millions of followers. And so, here in the US, somebody could have a much smaller following, and companies are okay with like the results. But in China, I feel like they just think that everything needs to be so huge. And unfortunately, maybe they've had, they've worked with influencers or, agencies in the past that have blown up the numbers, and so then they think that moving forward, like, well, this person had X amount of followers and they were able to get these results, so shouldn't you be able to get these results, and and it's like, well, probably used fakes. So it's sometimes it's like, what does the brand want? Do they want the results or do they want the truth? Because I think I forget who I was talking to, but one of my other podcasts, someone was saying how it's like, usually it's like an agency, and then there's like the brand's China office, and then there's like the headquarters, and it's like the people at the headquarters, or the people that founded the brand and everything, they really care. They want the real results or whatever. But those people in the middle, they're just wanting to look good for their bosses at the headquarters. So they're sometimes, in a lot of companies that are big and international, it's like you're going through multiple layers that are just want to make their boss look good in the end.
Totally. It's a weird market here. There are a couple things I want to talk about with this one. We're going to keep going off on this tangent because it's fun. These numbers, like, I feel that in China, everything is just like you said, everything needs to be big, and they're looking out for numbers for their bosses. And it feels like that everybody's after fast money and big things, and a lot of fake stuff here, a lot of 有水. We say like there's water, or 有水分. And it's a weird term. It's like everything's tainted. And you can see companies do it too. They'll advertise, like there's this platform for you can go and open up an account and make money teaching something or lecturing on something. And they're like, this guy's making 30,000 RMB a month, $5,000 a month. That's somebody that they totally probably just created on their own. It's like, it's so fictitious and bizarre. It's like
not the top
organic.
1% is earning that, and the rest is like earning barely anything.
Yeah. And you can see, if you look at, if you understand the market here and you're looking at numbers, likes and comments, and pay attention to, or how many shares are going on, you can see what's real and what's not, or how things are happening. For example, there are these guys, gosh, this kind of sounds bad. I love these guys. I was on a TV show. It was one of the biggest TV shows I've been on. It's called 世界青年说 on Jiangsu Weishi. And I was on an episode as a guest appearance for one of these things. The season, it's no longer filming, but the original guys, there are 11 guys on the show, 11 foreigners. And their Weibo accounts are huge. They all have around 500,000 followers. And as soon as the show stopped airing, as soon as they're not on the Jiangsu Weishi brand, which is in the top 3 TV stations in China, like all of their accounts, the numbers just dropped dramatically. You can go look at their accounts, and they're still huge accounts, and they're still getting some great numbers. I'm not saying that it's not good, but they're nowhere, they were built up somehow, that, and maybe it was organic, but it was through a huge TV station. And then once it stops, it's like really slowed down. I can see if you go look at those accounts, which those guys are awesome. They're providing, a lot of these guys are putting out some amazing content still, but I
think it's also the platform too, like Weibo itself, because I have a pretty small following compared to all of these people on Weibo, but I've seen, like, if I'm not constantly putting stuff out and promoting the posts, I'll lose followers. Like, and it's not, I don't think it's necessarily like people who are electing to not follow me anymore, even though I'm sure that there's some of that. But I think, like you were saying, the Youshui, like the apps, there's bots and things that are controlled by the app, and it's not something that I've like paid for, but they're not necessarily real. It's nothing that I have control. And so I feel like numbers will go up and down, and it's like, because you're like, how would 100 people just like decide not to follow me one day, like just out of nowhere? But it happens, and it's weird because I'll put out a video and it's like, you've gotten like 200 new followers. I'm like, but my follower number is still the same because somehow magically that day I also lost that many followers, and I think that so like you were saying, I think sometimes Weibo just kind of goes through and like clears out all of these bots and fakes and things, and it just kind of makes your numbers drop. I've heard of some people who have like lost like 10,000 overnight when Weibo has done it.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it like that. That's
somebody
crazy.
that had like a couple 100,000, and then they just like Weibo went through and they're like, I didn't buy those, so it must have just been kind of, I don't know, bots or sometimes it's bots and sometimes it's like accounts that haven't been used in a long time. They kind of clear them out. Yeah, but it can be like kind of a shock. You're like, well, where did that all go?
Yeah, you seem to know a lot more about Weibo than I do. I'm no pro on Weibo. I wish I was, and like I said, I regret not joining it earlier. I've got 40,000 fans on Weibo, and
me too.
those are hard to get. It's like, oh man, I put out some good stuff that it's like, no, it's really tough. I think you need to be pushed on that big time. Work with other influencers.
You regret getting on too late. I regret that I was on there early and I didn't understand it and use it until like the way it should be until it was too late. So sure. I kick myself in the butt even more because I was like, I was there. I could have, I could have gotten a big following on it, but I didn't understand social media when I got on it, and I was just too naive and too worried about putting stuff out there into the world, and it just, it was, it just kind of like sat there for a long time, occasionally putting stuff out, and then by the time I actually figured out that, how important Weibo was and how much I wanted to have wanted to grow an audience there. It was like you said, the algorithm has gotten a lot more difficult, and it's just the organic reach is dramatically down, and you have to promote posts, and it's really hard to organically grow a following on Weibo these days.
Sure. I don't do any of that stuff. I've got a kid now, so like all the money I have goes into saving for that little monster. It's tough. I don't know. I regret it as well. I started too late, but at that time I wasn't ready, and it's fine. But it's still good to have a Weibo account. Like,
oh, definitely.
Weibo is awesome, and the following on there, they're really nice people. It's high quality people, and also with any big TV show or any big events, like you don't even need an agent. They just come and they'll find you on Weibo. They'll find you if they want to find you. You can be found, and they just send you a message on there.
Yeah, I agree. Weibo is kind of like the go-to place to find people. Cool. Okay.
And all celebrities have Weibo on. I mean, sorry. Let's move on.
No. So I just want to also just loop that back to what we were saying about why it's important to know people at these apps in China, because most of the apps are like not based on organic, like the content. It doesn't matter if your content's really good or if you get tons of likes. A lot of times it's like about who you know at the app and who can promote your content. It's not all organic reach and everything like it might be on other apps in Western countries. But I want to go back because you kind of talked about what kind of content you made when you first started. Now, but fast forward to now, and you also kind of mentioned you made some English teaching stuff. But what are you doing these days as far as content?
So at the beginning it was all comedy stuff, and now it's still a lot of comedy stuff. It's still sticking around that, and I'm toying around. I've done some English teaching content, travel English and whatnot, and that has, also been to support my own company doing study abroad. But recently, more funny stuff. Like I just a couple of days ago put out a video of my son and I. My son is 15 months old, and doing just a comedy video on like dad with baby like workout. It's pretty silly. You can find it on Weibo if you want to see it. But I have been toying around with the idea of trying to get into YouTube and see if I can go after the foreign market, because my fan base is all Chinese people. I mean, or foreigners that are in China. So I have been recently kind of getting ready for a YouTube account that I'd like to start.
Oh,
so that is my present day thing, which should be nothing new, but I want to try and kind of do a different take on that and do some fun stuff there. And I think I have some value to provide to, people that want to learn Chinese or people that want to learn more about China, because China's awesome. I mean, like, a lot of people, you see a lot of the negative stuff, but I got a lot of positive things to say about this place. So that's me recently.
Definitely.
And now it's time for this week's Parklu Influencer Marketing Insights. China's State Administration of Press, Publications, Radio, Film, and Television has effectively placed a ban on rap and hip-hop from Chinese television and film. Now, there's been no announcement of such a ban for rap on social media. However, this should serve as a reminder of all of the events that took place in 2017 that did affect social media. In the end, it's possible that this might affect social media. Around this time last year, China made a similar ban for Korean-related content and advertising, which did spill over to social media. Weibo admin reached out to top KOLs on the platform to warn them that any posts containing Korean-related subject matter or products would be subject to automatic removal. In the summer, China enacted a very vague set of cybersecurity laws. During this time, several prominent social media accounts run by foreign companies were taken offline. These are issues of great concern for businesses wanting to advertise in China. Korean companies felt a huge backlash in consumption and general negative sentiment from Chinese customers. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with the rap crackdown, but we are advising clients to be very careful in their media planning for 2018. For more insights and to learn more, visit us at ChinaInfluencerMarketing.com/Parklu. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So, like, who are your fans? Do you have, like, I mean, it probably changes on different platforms, but kind of in general, do you have more female fans or male fans? Are they younger? Like, what age are they, or what type of people are they?
Right. So it's a good question. All these KOLs have different fan bases. Mine is scattered all over the place. So my strengths are that I'm white, I'm American, and I speak pretty good Chinese, and I also speak a local dialect here in China. And those are my big go-tos. Also, I keep it really light and keep it funny. Don't talk about anything that is negative. In Chinese, we say like 很有正能量, like that, like keeping a positive energy, that kind of thing. So with that, I will get fans that are in their teens because it's funny, like funny content. But then I'll also get, 60, 70-year-old women. So if I go outside, especially in Dalian or the northeast of China, go outside and get pictures taken with, young kids that think I'm funny, or older women or older men. Like, that's kind of the thing, is it's really scattered. And I've looked at one of these platforms. Meipai has numbers on the back end that you can see, like a little database back there that you can see for free. And seriously, they're all over. I think the majority of my following is between 15 and 35 years old, but I have a wide spectrum, and 65% female, but it's pretty spread out, so that's kind of hard to say. I know that I heard on one of your shows, or actually I think it was a group that you and I were in, people were talking about Afu, which is a German KOL here, and somebody was saying it was not me, which I think Afu is awesome. Like, he puts out some amazing content, and he's a lot bigger than somebody that was talking bad about him in the group. I'm like, this is hilarious to watch, because this guy is huge. Afu has a huge following, puts out some amazing content, and they're saying that his following is like all these older women, like women in their 60s and 70s that just love this, like 中国女婿, like a nephew of China. But I think that's totally false. Like, he's got a following it's again across the board. Because he puts out comedy and keeps it light and keeps it fun. I think a lot of KOLs take it too seriously and try to put out their opinion. Nobody really gives a shit about what your opinion is. Sometimes in China, it's like you're a foreigner here in China, but like play your role and like keep it light. I don't know. I think that taking it too seriously is maybe not such a good thing here in China. Like we will never be Chinese, no matter how long you've been here, how good your Chinese is. Like I see a lot of people trying to do more than what they should be doing. I don't know. It's weird. So to answer your question, my spectrum is kind of all over the board. So it's hard to say.
Yeah. No, I was just your last point. I think it was on maybe with David Goulassi, I think he was saying just that what you're saying, that when it's important to keep a tab on stuff that's going on between whatever your home country is and China, and then kind of it's weird because some people like to take a stance on these issues, but like you said, sure. it's like no matter what, you're always going to be a foreigner as much as you might be married to a Chinese person, but you're still and it's like unless you take a stance that's pro China, then if you take a stance that's pro your home country, you're gonna get like a lot of negative backlash. And so Definitely. it's but then if you take too much of a pro China stance, then there are also other people that are like, you're just sucking up to Chinese people and that's not really what you think, and that kind of like you're just a big China lover, you're not really like from your country and whatever, like
totally. There's
a
fine line there.
Yeah,
there's definitely a fine line. Like, I mean, you can't say a lot of negative stuff because you do not have freedom of speech here. You got to play the game. You can get your accounts taken down overnight if you say the wrong thing about the wrong person. And then the other side, like what you're saying, if you're kind of kissing up to the country, then it's seen. I think a lot of people are not. I mean, people aren't stupid, right? I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think even if maybe some Chinese followers enjoy it, your peers, your Western peers, are gonna call you out for it.
For sure.
I've definitely seen that. Okay, cool. So I want to kind of go through, because you're on several different platforms. So I kind of want to, it doesn't have to be too in depth, but I kind of want to go through each of the platforms and kind of hear your opinion on the platform, because I think that'll be really interesting for people to hear. So I don't know, which one do you want to start off with? Maybe Meipai, just because we were just talking about that.
Sure. Well, first Kuaishou. So that one is that. Well, let me get into Kuaishou real quick. So Kuaishou is weird. Like Kuaishou is that's where I started and that's where I got a huge following, and I'm very thankful for that. But it is all very, very short stuff that doesn't allow for cross promotion at all, unless you make a video that in the video itself there is a direct like a 硬广告, how would you say that, like a firm, like an advertisement, very obvious advertisement. There's no, like, if you put links down below, they don't support the links to other things. Like if you had a Taobao shop, or if you had a Weidian or something like that, or a website, and you put a link to that below, it
can only be like used for awareness. There's no way to like convert it to sales or anything.
That's what I think. I mean, unless you submitted a very firm advertisement. And I think the people the people that are watching Kuaishou, it's a different group of people, a lot of young people, and Kuaishou is advertising so much on these huge TV stations, number 1, 2, and 3 in China. But the platform itself there are not very many functions. The functionality is very low, and there's a lot of people watching it that are, I don't know. There's a lot of panza on the platform. A lot of people that are
trolls.
Yeah, is that what we call them? Trolls? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, how do you say panza in English? A lot of trolls out there.
I'm loving your Chinglish. You're gonna have a hard time when you move back to the U.S.
I know. I'll pick it right back up. But yes, I know I'm missing out on some stuff. So that one, is very limited. I kind of regret. I wish I would have gotten bigger with other platforms than that one. Weibo is awesome, but also very limited. Also, I think doesn't support some links, or if you do send links, it will bring your numbers down. Like they have something within the platform itself that if you send a Taobao link or a Weidian link, something like that, that your numbers will be pushed down. I don't know how to kind of say that, but do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
they limit your organic reach.
Right.
If there's certain, like if you include links or talk about certain things. I mean, if you include links and it's like through their platform and it's kind of like paid and stuff, then it's like fine. But if it's just like links or it's or if you mention like WeChat official accounts and they limit your reach, like there's a bunch of things that you can do that'll like limit your organic reach on Weibo.
Interesting. I didn't know the details there, but yes, exactly that. And then Meipai, I mean, that's probably my favorite. Like I've got 300,000 followers there, and my wife has almost 60,000 followers, and she sells some things that she uses that for cross promotion. Like her following is all her target market, so that has been awesome for us.
Yeah, why did you I want to go into Meipai a little bit more because I don't think Meipai gets talked about nearly enough. It's such an awesome platform. Okay. Why did you guys decide to get on Meipai? Did you just like hear about it, or what made you get on there?
Sure. So again, probably a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago, I'm not sure exactly how long ago, but I had heard about it from a friend. And she's like, oh, it's awesome. There's some superstars on there and stuff like that. And I was like, really? And so I went on there and I uploaded a couple videos and didn't get as much. I did get some traction, but it wasn't as explosive as Kuaishou was for me. But then I kept it up. I just kept going with it and slowly but surely brought it up. Like I remember when I got to 50,000 followers, I was like, this is awesome. Then 100, then 150, 180. And then recently it's gotten up to 300. And it's just the quality there, like the functionality of the platform itself it's fantastic. They also support videos up to 5 minutes long. A lot of my content is around 2 minutes. So Kuaishou only supports within 60 seconds, 1 minute. So that has been a big thing. It supports links. It has... it's divided up really well. You can go in there and on the homepage, you can look at people that are talking about food or dancing or, just pretty people or arts and crafts and stuff like that. It's divided up really well, whereas Kuaishou doesn't have any of that, nothing of that nature. So it's a cool platform. One thing I wanted to say before I forget is there's no real platform in China, I don't think, that is exactly like YouTube. And I have not done YouTube, so I don't know what it takes to be successful there. But I do know that YouTube is the number 2 search engine in the world outside of Google, right? And so there's nothing like that in China, which is tough. It makes it really tough for creators because you just have to keep going. You can't survive off of one or a few videos that you did that were really big, the top 5 reasons why to blah, 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 blah on YouTube they just keep going. They're 5 years old or whatever.
People who are searching for that, like you just come up in the search results. But there's, like you said, there's really nothing like that in China where you can search for videos. And so, it's not like, because I make a lot of travel videos and it's not like somebody can be like, on YouTube, I'll go through and it'll be like, I don't know, some Europe travel vlog, and you get tons of videos, and like, there's nowhere to do that in China. It's just kind of like, if people don't see it the first time you put it out, then like, it might never resurface.
Exactly, which is so strange and so sad for creators. There are search functions, like Kuaishou doesn't, but Meipai and Weibo, they do have search functions, but it's not like YouTube is, where it's used, like people don't even use it, and it's not user friendly. It doesn't. The results don't show up like YouTube. So
and
that's
to clarify,
a sad thing.
like Youku and Tudo and all these places, like
Nobody uses
they're
this.
not. Yeah, they're not really like for user generated content. I mean, I guess maybe in the past they were a bit more,
Yeah,
but now
they were.
it's like a lot of them are foreign shows or TV shows, or it's more like professional content. And then like the people, like you said, the people that maybe know somebody at the app will get their content. So like a lot of the user generated content, it's not because it's like they got a lot of views or something. It's like they probably know somebody at Youku or Tudo who's like promoting their content.
100%. Those were set up to copy YouTube for sure. I mean, those were, but then everything's gone away from that. Like you said, individual users, people that are on their phones, they're not on those platforms at all. So that search engine ability has just gone away for creators, which makes it really, really tough. What was I going to say about that? I had something else. I'll think of it.
Meipai. It all started with Meipai and the search function.
Yeah, I'll think of it, but it's a sad thing. I think that's a tough part of this industry. Oh, I was going to say is look at the number one in China right now, Douyin. So this Douyin is huge. It's just exploding. And I have not put anything on it, but I downloaded it on my phone a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, what is all this hype? And it's 10-second videos, 15-second videos. It's this Kuaishou, like this, fast food of video content, and it's mostly with music behind it and people doing hand gestures as dancing and all this. It's like, good grief. The market here is just different as well. I don't know. It's weird. It's a really weird market. It's totally different in the West.
Douyin is doing really well. I think maybe it's just because I'm like American. Because I went on Musical.ly a lot, and I just feel like the top creators on Musical.ly are a little bit more original and creative, like and more professional than the people on Douyin. But maybe, I have seen a couple of like really funny or like videos that I watched over and over again on Douyin because I was like, hey, like I didn't get it the first time, and so I just like kept watching it. So there is some, but I agree with what you're saying that it's just like, like why is this blowing up? But then I'm also like, every time I'm like, I don't understand. I'm like, it's probably because I'm almost 30 years old and I'm not like a 14-year-old like Chinese girl.
Yeah, and I'm 34 and I'm out of that too. And I don't know, it seems like the patience here is a lot less. For example, YouTube, you hear a lot about I've read articles about the algorithms, and they say like videos that are closer to 10 minutes long are, better for the YouTube algorithm. Like if you're making content that's around 10 minutes, 8 to 15 minutes long is like the sweet spot. I've heard that a lot. I heard just from a media source in Dalian a couple weeks ago that in China, it's for making good content, like proper videos outside of Douyin, not 15-second stuff, is around 45 to 90 seconds. That's what we're looking at here in China. 45 to 90 seconds. That's all you got. That's the patience of the market here. It's bizarre. I don't know. It's funny. Maybe that's worldwide though too. That's probably not just a China thing.
I don't know. I think it depends on different audiences, and like you said, I think in the US there are definitely platforms that cater to the very short video format, but it does seem like in recent years, like YouTube videos have been getting longer. I think that's really interesting. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It seems like in China, it's going both ways. Like I see more and more people putting out like slightly longer, and by longer I mean like 5 minutes, but like slightly longer stuff that's like more in depth and detailed, and then or it's like the opposite extreme of like really short, quick, stuff that's entertaining and like catches your attention. And I feel like it's going in one of those extremes or the other.
Sure. I agree.
So speaking of Douyin, do you think you're gonna try and do anything on the platform
No.
or just watch?
No, I'll just watch. Nothing there.
I gotta say, I'm very tempted to just like, I don't know, do some kind of funny videos and see if it gets me anywhere. But I'm like, I don't know if that's really my audience and my type of content. But I guess I'm always curious to see like, would I be able to get a following there? That kind of thing.
I'm sure you would. It's all about, at the end of the day, it's like our time is very limited, right? So what do you want to put your time into? Because once you get something going, you're supposed to support it and continue doing it, which has been a tough thing for me here. I think a lot of KOLs in China is there are so many platforms, and every day this Douyin is also new. It's just huge in the last couple months. Like, I think maybe not, but it's hard to maintain all these platforms, and I also want to maintain some loyalty. So I'm trying to choose a couple that I love and just stick with those. I don't know. It's tough.
Do you have anyone helping you out, or are you doing everything, like as far as producing
content?
The videos
No, everything's on my own. Unfortunately, that is another struggle. I don't have a team behind me. So yeah, everything, filming and editing and all that, any audio, any video, it's all been me.
Have you considered bringing someone on, or are you just not something
I
you're
have,
do?
but like monetizing it, because I don't monetize these I'm not making money from the videos directly. I'm trying to, my wife uses it for her business, and then I try to use it from my business and to try to get, more fame in China, and that's been good. Recently, my wife and I are on a station here that has been it's number one in China, Hunan, and we are on a series. It's a TV show that is based off of a show in England called Gogglebox, and it's really an odd format, like the basis of the show. But through these videos, that's how you get found by other platforms. You get found by TV stations, and that's ideally for me is going to help my fame and get me more business for my business. Like I do it for a few reasons. One is just it's fun. I like making people laugh and having a good time. I also do it to cross-promote my business, for sure. So.
Yeah, but I think that's probably good that you're not as, there's a lot of new KOLs in China who have just, they get large audiences and then they just try and monetize them like crazy, and, they're just taking ads for everything. And so I think it's probably good that you're, using your content, I guess more subtly a lot of the time to like grow awareness for your business and just grow your following, and it seems like you're not as much in a
selling
rush
anything.
To yeah. Do you work with brands like at all though, or just not very often? Or
yeah, there's been some stuff for live streaming. I stopped streaming. I did do streaming for a while. That's where I originally found you, was when I was using a streaming platform. Weibo was and I tried it as well for a while, and I stopped. It's just a lot of work. But yes, get some companies that do want some help with brand awareness, and that's something we talk about, is that I think companies here have odd expectations as to what this KOL can do for them. As far as direct sales or indirect sales, and like you were talking about this earlier, finding KOLs with huge numbers and then they don't produce very good results, or you've talked about this in the past a lot too, and then KOLs with smaller numbers but with a niche market, and finding better ways to do things, and that is something that is very fascinating. I think companies need to do some real proper research prior to working with a KOL. What their objectives are. I think that is something that needs to be defined prior to working with a KOL, because I think a lot of companies go into it with big expectations that are not realistic, or expectations in the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, are they typically asking you, in your experience, have you been asked like mostly for awareness, so like views and comments and stuff, or are they mostly looking to actually convert sales? And also, are you working mostly with international or Chinese companies?
Chinese.
Okay.
Chinese, and it's just been about brand awareness,
okay,
image awareness. I have seen KOLs work with direct sales and stuff like that, and I'm sure that's gonna be tough. Especially, this is something that my wife told me. She's like, foreigners should not be selling something to Chinese people. That's what she told me. She's like, we, the Chinese market, will buy foreign brands, but if you're a foreigner in China and you start, I don't know, do you know what I'm saying? Like, let me think how the best way to say this. You can't, like a foreigner, it's not appropriate for a foreigner to just sell anything they want. Like how a lot of Chinese people, you see a lot of these Chinese KOLs, these big Wanghong that will sell makeup. They'll do fashion videos and sell makeup, or that's just an example, or food or whatever. And a foreigner doing that might not necessarily work as well as a Chinese person doing the same thing, which I haven't tried that personally, but I have seen foreigners try to do that, and it has not been as successful as Chinese people doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, I can understand what you're saying. It's kind of going back to like that, what we were saying earlier about sensitive topics and stuff, that it's just like, sometimes depending on how you're doing it and maybe what kind of content you usually make, it might come across like the wrong way. And, but maybe kind of like what, I guess what your wife was saying is that, doing more like awareness type content could be better for a foreigner, because I think in a lot of situations, Chinese people do want to know like what brands maybe a foreigner is using, or what brands a foreigner trusts, and what like they might choose to buy and things like that. So I think that in that sense, Chinese people might are interested in like your recommendations, but maybe not like a direct sell. Right.
Exactly. I think so. And KOLs also have to be protective of their image. They don't want to sell out. It can can hurt your fan base. So it's just sensitive stuff. Got to be careful with it as a KOL.
Were you only live streaming on Weibo, or did you try live streaming on some other platforms as well?
Mostly Weibo. I think I did a little bit on Meipai. My wife does on Meipai occasionally, just like once a week, not a daily thing. And then I think I tried once or twice on Kuaishou as well. I stopped just because it's exhausting. You're supposed to do it. If you're going to do it right, you're supposed to do it every day, and 2 to 5 hours a day, that kind of thing. And I found it really difficult. There's no way I was going to do that much. I was thinking about doing it, every other day for an hour or so, or 45 minutes. But it doesn't work like that. There are people that use that, as a profession. And it's exhausting as a foreigner in China to do it, because you get asked the same damn questions.
Oh, yeah.
Like, hey, where are you from? How old are you? Do you like China? Do you like Chinese food? It's like, gosh. I can't answer this question one more time. I'll explode.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And it's like, because when I was live streaming a lot, I would get people in my audience who, or I would like have, like, you can, on some apps, you can select like admin kind of to help you
right.
deal with the kicking people out and stuff like that. And, a lot of them would try and help me answer some of the questions, like telling people,
good.
that was really nice. But it's just, it's so annoying when you're like, can't we just talk about something else for a moment? Because then if you don't, then people, because, you understand, like, their first time watching your live stream, and so you don't want to be rude and be like, I'm not going to answer these questions, but like I usually have all of the answers to those questions like written out in my bio, you know. And so I'm just like check the bio,
check out my homepage. Yeah, and you feel kind of like a monkey, and like no answer, you know, they keep sending the question over and over, and it's like, oh man, I have to answer this. Like, get back, throw you a banana. Come on. It's weird. That's a weird thing. I hate it.
Okay, so you're more of a fan of like video content.
Yeah, definitely. And my wife does, like I said, about once a week. She'll stream for a couple hours, and I can, make some cameos in there and have a little bit of chatting there, but not for the long term for sure.
Gotcha. Okay, so I think we've already probably mentioned, we said like Kuaishou, Meipai, Weibo, live streaming. We mentioned Himalaya, the podcasting app. Are there any other platforms you're on? That's already quite a lot.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So my main platforms: Weibo, Kuaishou, Meipai, and then Ximalaya. The other one is a 公众号, like the WeChat public account, which is extremely difficult, and I think everybody knows about that. That's tough.
Just tough to grow an audience, or
very tough. It wasn't at the beginning because I was always trending on Kuaishou, and I promoted this. They asked me to teach them English. They're like, "Can you teach us English?" And I opened a public account to do that, and quickly got the following up pretty good. But then it's like stayed right there because I don't do any more cross promotion. I don't push it on any other platforms because, like you said, if you promote it on platforms, it's like advertising. If you're advertising for a WeChat on another platform, it doesn't look good on that platform. And if somebody sees that and they bring it down. So my following on the public platform of WeChat has just stayed like right at 80,000 followers. It's just right there. Yeah.
That's not too shabby though. That's a pretty decent following.
But that's hard to get, that just drops like that's hard to do. That's another whole entire, that could be a podcast in itself, how to do that. And I haven't done that right. And you need to put time and effort and probably money into promoting a public account to make it right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it seems like the way that a lot of Chinese platforms are going, that you need to put money behind what you're doing if you really want to make it there.
That's what they all do, like Taobao. I mean, that's what you hear about people promoting. They call it 烧钱. It's like burning money. You just dump money into these shops on Taobao to get them promoted up on the rankings and stuff. It's just, I haven't done any of that. I've just heard about it. It's crazy.
I think it's pretty impressive what you've done so far as a single, as by yourself, been able to get like the followings on all of these platforms. It's a lot of effort.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun though. Like just funny stuff. People like watching light humor and keeping it light. It's been fun in that way. Yeah. Having a team would be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah. So I know that we're getting short on time here. So I kind of want to, switch to kind of the last topic. Is just that, what are you planning on doing this year? I mean, I guess you mentioned YouTube. Are you planning on trying any new types of content, or are there any like big trends that you see that you want to try, or any thoughts on what you're going to do over the next year or in the future?
Sure. My wife and I have been talking about that, and she and I, we're thinking in the next 2 to 5 years of heading back to America. So we are, just trying to build up her following. That's a big thing, and building awareness for her stuff. She has a shop. I won't do a promotion for that, but she does sell things. And so,
what kind of stuff does she sell?
She sells stuff for babies and baby mamas. So
that's a big market.
It is a big market, and she's got a great following, and people trust her. And that's one thing. Like, she's been really blessed to have that ability. Hasn't spent a dime, and just all natural, all organic. And her following is around 60,000 followers, and it's all. Probably more than 90% of it is her target market. So it's been really, really cool. and maybe 80%. But that's been awesome. And then from my side, like I would like to continue to do. I mean, I'm going to keep up doing the stuff for my fans here in China and keeping it fun, light, funny. I think that's my goal there. I'm not trying to do too much more than that. Just keep going. And but the new thing from my side for 2008 and moving forward is I hope to, like you said, do the YouTube and try to get foreign following. And I think that I would like to. I've got a lot of stuff to share of value for foreigners that are interested in learning Chinese or more about China and how to do things here, what to do, what not to do, and stuff like that. And that's just kind of a new challenge that I would like to take on for myself. So we'll see.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I think we definitely covered a lot of topics that haven't been talked about or kind of have been mentioned, but not like talked about in this much length before on the podcast. So I know that people are going to find it really interesting. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Lauren. It's my pleasure and my honor to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
If listeners want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to contact you?
Probably on Weibo is the best. That's where I look at private messages.
Okay, awesome. I will link to your Weibo in the show notes.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day.
Bye. Hi, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Tyler. You can find links to all of his social media channels in the show description or in the show notes on ChinaInfluencerMarketing.com. I'd love to hear what you thought of the episode. You can leave me a comment on ChinaInfluencerMarketing.com or reach out to me on LinkedIn. And if you liked this episode and you know somebody else who might like it too, please don't forget to share. Thanks, and talk to you next week.